This is how you can shrink your stomach with the protein shake diet. This method is so much better than a gastric bypass procedure because you retain the ability to absorb nutrients. Whereas if you go for surgery, you will forever be dependent on supplementation. And unfortunately, you can only supplement the nutrients that we have so far discovered. And you gotta remember that nutrition as a field, as a scientific field, is very recent. Vitamin D, vitamin C, all of those vitamins and even non-vitamins like taurine, they have been discovered only in the last 100 years. And so you can only supplement with the things that we have discovered and that we have created synthetic forms of. And we already know that a lot of synthetic nutrients also don't absorb very well, and they're not as biologically active as the real deal, and in some cases they might even prevent the real nutrient from doing its job and block the functioning of a real nutrient. And so whichever way you look at it, surgery is not something that you should take lightly. Hi, I'm Dr. Zaldivar, and I've lost and maintained 35 pounds, mainly by raising my baseline dopamine levels and raising my D2 receptor numbers in my brain. I explain how I did that in that YouTube video if you want to delve into that topic a little bit deeper. I've also quit my nutrition professor jobs at the University of Miami, Miami-Dade College, and the American College of Sports Medicine so I could focus on reaching a wider audience online, and I've coached thousands of clients so far into better health and fitness. All right, let's go over this protein shake diet. This is basically a subtype or a type of a PSMF diet, or a protein sparing modified fast. We use these types of PSMF diets under extreme conditions if somebody wants to lose maximum weight in the shortest period of time. And it is better than fasting because you're consuming protein, which is preserving muscle. So the whole idea is you want to preserve as much muscle as humanly possible while shedding as much fat as humanly possible as quickly as possible. Now, the added benefit of doing this type of diet in a shake form is that it's going to shrink your stomach. So you're not really going to feel comfortable going back to eating normal volumes of food. And so as long as you don't binge and force feed yourself larger volumes of food at the end of this diet, your stomach will continuously feel as if it has shrunk. And so this way you're gonna have a better long-term maintenance, and there's less likelihood of you regaining the weight. Having said that, I highly urge you to also look into reverse dieting. I have some videos on that. I'll try to link them at the end of this YouTube video. You wanna ensure that you know how to exit this diet very safely by doing a reverse dieting phase and slowly speeding up the metabolism again, very slowly, so that you can maintain your new lower body weight, but by being able to have more calories in your diet. I've also written a guide on reverse dieting, and it's called SUPERBREED Metabolism, and you can find it on my website at drsarahzaldivar.com/shop. Also, another caveat here: if you have struggled with food addiction, binge eating, or an inability to control certain drug foods, those are the foods that are very tasty, they're very hyper palatable, they are engineered to make you want to have more and more of them, like cookies or deep fried Oreos or pizzas. If you've struggled with those a lot in the past, then I also highly recommend that you check out the Cravings Bundle that includes 4 guides that specifically target this topic. It's got the 21 Day to Food Freedom Guide, Monster Mindset, Instant Dopamine, and Dopamine Brain. All of them are a form of a brain rehab protocol that also I've implemented, and that's one of the main ways that I was able to lose those 35 pounds and maintain them. You can get the Cravings Bundle at drsarahzaldivar.com/shop. Now let's go over the meal plan. The first thing you want to do is figure out what is your ideal body weight, and then have that number in grams of protein. So basically, you're having a gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight, and those are the only calories you're consuming. For example, if you are 200 pounds, but your ideal body weight is 150 pounds, and you take 150 pounds and you multiply that by the 1 gram of protein per pound, and you would have to ingest 150 grams of protein per day. There are 4 calories per gram of protein, and so you're basically having 600 calories, because 150 grams of protein times the 4 calories per gram of protein, that gives you 600 calories per day that you're ingesting from pure protein. Now, you can either ingest that protein coming from clean sources, like just protein powder mixed with water and maybe a tiny bit of artificial sweetener. For example, I like the Equip protein powder because of its high quality ingredients. I like the beef protein powder one because it doesn't have dairy and no whey, because you gotta remember, if you're consuming whey protein powder, that's gonna spike your insulin even more than white bread. And so if we're trying to lose weight, we really do not want to spike insulin, which is the fat storage hormone. You can use code DrSarah15 to get 15% off on equipfoods.com. Or if you don't want to take things to an extreme and you just want to do the easy version of this, and you can just get any protein shake like the Premier protein shakes, which are very low in carbohydrates, and you can have as many of those shakes as your target caloric intake allows. Also, if you get something like a Premier protein shake, they will usually have added vitamins and minerals in them. And since you're not really eating all of your nutrients, it's a good thing to have whatever you can get, even though they're from synthetic forms and maybe not the most ideal versions of those nutrients. So in the example above, that 200-pound person whose ideal body weight is 150 pounds would have 5 Premier protein shakes per day. Or if they're using regular protein powders, which have around 25 grams of protein per scoop, they would have 6 scoops of protein powder mixed with water per day. So maybe 1 scoop with water every couple of hours. That can keep your hunger in check. You can wake up, get your workout in while having the first scoop, and then every couple of hours have those scoops that way. Now, if you want to maximize the results of this PSMF shake diet, you also want to lift weights. That will help you preserve muscle, and some of you, if you are newbies and you haven't really lifted before, you can even build muscle on this diet. And if you want to take this one step further and you add in steps, the more steps you can add into your day, the better. You can be looking at dropping 1 pound per day. It's that powerful. Here's what's going to happen at the end of this diet. Your stretch receptors in your stomach, they will regain sensitivity, and once you reintroduce solid foods, you will be satisfied with much smaller volumes of foods as compared to the past, because those stretch receptors, they will sense even slight distension of your stomach, and you're going to feel fuller very quickly. And this is the easy part. The hard part is learning how to exit this dieting phase, and this is where the reverse dieting phase comes in. So again, be very careful about how you do that reverse dieting and ensure that you do that reverse dieting phase, and also check out the cravings bundle and just learn more about the brain rehab protocol, learn more about how we can raise our baseline dopamine and how we can maintain a relatively sober lifestyle whereby we're not including those drug foods at every single meal. I'm not saying never have them ever again in your life, but just know how you utilize those foods that can really hijack your discipline and willpower and just make it very difficult for you to be able to maintain that weight loss long term. Again, all my guides are found on my website at drsarahzaldivar.com/shop. And if you're looking for motivation and maximum accountability and coaching, check out my one-on-one coaching packages at drsarahzaldivar.com/coaching. You get unlimited email support, which is very rare to find in any coaching package, and we do multiple Zoom calls depending on which package you're choosing. And if you use code YouTube within the next 48 hours, you get 50% off on all my coaching packages. I hope this was helpful. Let me know, have you ever tried a PSMF shake diet before? I read all my comments and I answer all of them. And if you like this type of content, make sure you let me know by giving this YouTube video a thumbs up, subscribing, and hitting that little notification bell icon so YouTube alerts you every time I post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.